It's a hot topic. Why are millennials leaving the church? I think there are multiple reasons for this. Partly because of what they are. They like to do their thing. But I like to go back even to the 60s or 70s. As I said, that's my generation. And our generation, in fact, took the liberty, I think, to change church. The church that I knew in my childhood, although I wasn't a Christian yet, was very formal, and we wore formal clothes, and we didn't talk in the sanctuary, and so on. And from about the end of the 60s on, with hippies and the Beat generation, praise music began to take its place. It was much less formal. New instruments came into the church. There were home groups. People talked to each other in the sanctuary, whereas it used to be silent before. And I think this generation really changed things. The following generation, Generation X as it's sometimes called, found it difficult to change things. And so the millennials are coming along, and they see this church, which the baby boomers thought this was a very modern church, as not being a modern church. So if we don't adapt, they're not going to feel at home. So a church where there is conversation, where they're listened to, which is joyful, a church where there's a lot of variety. There are a lot of differences. Some millennials like to go to a church where there's good music and be consumers. Other ones, which is partly my experience in my church, we don't sing so much because the non-Christians don't like that. We sing from time to time, but we use films, we have discussions, we meditate on a biblical passage. I'm not saying these are the only things we have to do, but I think that we have as churches to be much more varied in what we do, more creative in what we do, and leave them the space also to be able to make these changes. I would be a little afraid that the baby boomer generation wouldn't want to change any more than the previous generation did. So I think it's very important to leave them the space. And what I found in my church, that when they did this, even the older people were very happy, in fact. So I think just to give them space. There may be many other reasons. Lifestyle, for example, people tend to travel more, they're away at weekends, they've got access to good preaching on the internet. There are lots of reasons. But I think the basic thing is that to be joyful, to be accepting, to be varied, and to try to talk about the real issues which they're facing, and so that we're not just in a kind of bubble when we're in our church, that the church has a real interface with the world, so that what they're living in the church, they can also live 24 hours, 7 days a week when they leave the church. I think it is a danger that the previous types of churches could be a bubble. You're only really spiritual when you're in the sanctuary, or you're only really spiritual when you're listening to praise music. But to be much more in phase with society, to use technology and so on, to use films, this is the world they're in. And there's nothing non-scriptural in this.